So hello and welcome to the GCC Summer Championships here on MyWhoosh. This race is going to be a blinder. We have got some fantastic racing and I'm going to be putting words to the action. My name is Matt Payne. I'm going to be joined here in the studio by the one and only
Emma Martin.
It's great to be in the studio with you, Emma, for a stage race. Always love a stage race. This is going to be a blinder because we have a fantastic set of racing for our riders. 1 time trial stage, 4 road race stages, 5 days of competition, 6 categories of rider, 7 climb segments, 21 sprint segments, 30 nationalities, 156.1 kilometres of racing, 235 competitors, and 1,778 metres to ascend here today. In total, we have got an absolute blinder.
It is going to be a great summer championships, as Matt said. 5 days, 5 stages, and we're kicking off today at Hudariat. Which is going to be a great start, but along the way we're heading to Arabia, we're heading to California. Everything from the individual time trial at 30 kilometers right the way up to just shy of 42 kilometers, but that's a flat stage on stage 4. And then the finale, well, that is going to be a tough one. 905 meters of climbing on the last day. Our riders are going to have to save their legs for that one because, well, there's a sprint competition, a climbers competition, and the overall competition as well, and the overall prize money. Well, this is for the Premier Elite category.
So men's and women's competitors competing over the same courses, same distance, with the same prize money. Now, 1 and 3, categories 1 and 3, are our Premier Elite categories. This is the top of the tree. It doesn't get any better than this. And if you take away the winning the individual classification, you can see it's $10,000. The teams classification, top 3 teams getting prizes as well. And Emma, segments and stage winners daily as well up for grabs. So lots of incentive for our Premier Elite riders in the competition.
There are indeed, and as you mentioned, Matt, category 1 and category 3 in the men's and women's competition, the Premier Elite categories. The elite categories 2 and 4, also having prize money as well.
As you can see, just a little bit of a drop in price, but it is the sort of prize fund that makes people want to ride a bike who's never ridden before. We're hoping that you're going to be with us all the way through to see who will be taking home the win in the elite categories. That's, again, men and women with the same prizes. And again, the team competition in there, the King and Queen of the Mountains competition, the sprints winner, so polka dots and green jerseys. We've got segments to go out. Huge number of sprint segments. That's going to be a really tough competition, but that incentive is there for all of our riders in our elite competition. But we also, of course, have our amateur riders as well, don't we, Emma?
Yes, we do indeed. And those amateur riders taking part in the competition as well. The $500 for 5 days racing. They have to complete the 5 full days of racing for that competition. Now, one of the things that's really interesting, the difference between our elite and our amateur categories, all of our elite entrants have gone through the full verification process,
which is exhaustive and is going to make sure that we have fair and competitive racing across all of our competitors who have entered those elite categories from all 6 countries that make up the Gulf Cooperation Council, which is the United Arab Emirates, the State of Bahrain, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the Sultanate of Oman, the State of Qatar, and the State of Kuwait. And riders from every single of those nations are going to be taking part and jumping on stage 1, which is going to kick off the action.
It is indeed going to kick off the action, and kicking off the action today, we are going to Hudariat. The course today, 38.4 kilometres of racing for both categories, both the men and the women, the elite, the Premier Elite, and the amateurs all race the same course. 170 metres of climbing today, but you can see only one climb segment that will go towards that climbing competition, and that comes at 15.2 kilometres into this course, and it's short and it's sharp. But it's not the only climb on the course to date. There are indeed 5 climbs in total. Now, 5 climbs in total there are also 5 sprints along the way, each of them 200 metres.
So let's just talk about how the competition works for all of our competitors then, in terms of how it translates into today's stage. So we have, first of all, the stage race, which is the first over the line for the winner at the end of the 38.4 kilometres. We have our mountains competition. Should we do that one first? Because that's nice and simple. Today, one climb. The fastest time up there in each of our segments, in each of our categories, is going to take away the win.
Well, it does indeed, but they are also allocated points for the overall climbing competition. So today, it is not a categorised climb. The segment will take away 5 points for first, 4 points for second, 3 points for third, 2 points for fourth, and 1 point for fifth. Now, in that competition, those points are added together day by day, and the highest overall total at the end will indeed win the climbers competition. And for those climbers competitions, the bigger the climb, the more points on offer.
And you'll see that in the little red triangle above the climb segment, which tells you whether it is a uncategorized climb, whether it is a categorized climb of 3, 2, 1, or haute category, which basically means off the scale.
Yes.
And that is the best way to think of it. Now, we have our 4 elite categories on the screen. We have the premium categories. They are categories 1 and 2. We have our standard elite categories, which are 3 and 4. You can see each of our categories are denoted by a different color, which will make things a little bit easier for you and hopefully for us as we go through. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 with basically 2 premier categories, 2 standard elite categories. Then we have our riders who are going to be out and racing in the categorization, which is basically for those riders who are amateurs. So they are going to be looking to complete the stage and see how their times go. Now, it could be that they're going to try and go as fast through the stage or fast through the sprint, or just survive to the end of each and every stage, which after 5 stages might be quite substantial. That is going to make a difference.
Well, I love this idea because, there's often we see sportives alongside main bike races, and this gives everybody something to do.
It does indeed. So the first of our riders going to leave those start pens are going to be our women elite categories. As you can see, we have our Velocity Vixens in here. We also have our Aussie Balante team as well. 4 riders in each of those 2 teams there, Emma, and it is 3 riders as a minimum to count for the team competition. So they do have a spare rider on the way through. It's going to be very interesting to see just how they play this, whether those team tactics come into play, and whether or not these riders in the standard women's elite category are going to be able to push on. We're going to also see, of course, our riders in the amateur category out there and riding. They set off at the same time. Now, this is a huge list of names. We're not going to read it because it'd be a bit like reading the phone book to you, but there are lots of familiar names that we get to talk about regularly on MyWhoosh, on the racing on MyWhoosh that we see out on the roads of MyWhoosh, and some new names as well. If you had a word of wisdom, Emma, I love surprising Emma. You may not know this if you've not watched the racing before. Emma, if you had a word of wisdom to the riders maybe competing for the first time, what would you say to them?
What would I say to them? Don't give up. Enjoy what you're doing. If you're finding it difficult, everybody is finding it difficult. So just keep going, keep a smile on your face, and you never know how good you'll feel tomorrow.
Yes, I would agree with that, because some days, some people do respond better.
They do indeed.
With day after day after day competition. And we're going to see that. And that's what, as you said, it's going to be great about this. We're going to see how our riders, wherever they are, in whatever category, how they are going. So you can see our riders are lined up. So these are our riders on the left-hand side of your screen. They are our elite riders. And then on the right-hand side of your screen, you have our amateur riders. They're all ready to go. We're counting down the seconds to the start of the Gulf Cooperation Council Summer Championships for 2024. The first of our riders heading out on the first of the stages here today on MyWhoosh, and this is where the nerves start jangling for us and for them, because I'm really excited to see how this goes.
Well, it is going to be really good. And on the left-hand side of your screen, that is the elite women's category, and we're in with Rona Tanglian. On the right-hand side of your screen, that is the amateur women's category. We are into the final countdown for the GCC Summer Championships. The light is green and away the women go. They are the first starters in the 5-day stage race that is the GCC Summer Championships.
And you can see as our riders come out of the pens, the two groups merge together. And this is going to be really interesting. Now, we have riders that are in our championship, in our elite category and in our amateur category, riding together. Now, they can take draft from each of them. Let's just explain that draft to you. So when you sit behind another rider, you can save energy. You are not pushing through the wind. That would be if you're outdoors. And exactly the same thing is replicated here on MyWhoosh. It gives you that same saving if you can hide behind somebody else. So having a mass of riders in with you is going to really, really help here.
And now one of the ways our riders know whether they are in the draft or not in the draft is indeed the bar at the top of your screen. So we're currently watching Musa Al-Mansouri, and her numbers are those riders we are looking at. So currently she's doing 190 watts. That is in the green, indicating that she is in the draft. Just over a minute time elapsed, heart rate at 170, cadence at 63. Now she's right on the front of that pack at the moment. Now the number has gone into the white, indicating she's no longer in the draft.
And then dropping back in again, back into that draft, getting the green numbers. Green is good. White is in the wind. It's a nice little way to remember that. And the more time you spend hiding behind everybody else, the less effort you're going to need to put in to push onwards in there. Now, as you can see, this kick off from the start goes out and over the bridges, over the pontoons here. It is pancake flat. Great to see Myra Madera on our screens there. That camera shot of Myra with the helmets neatly racked up on the wall. That is a very, very tidy pancake. This insight that we get on MyWhoosh into our riders riding and racing, we see the person behind the avatar, and it's really, really interesting, isn't it, when we see these riders. Myra Madera at the moment leading the race out from the start, looking very composed.
Yeah, very, very settled there. And you can see on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen the graphic coming up showing you the stretch on this group of riders out the start pen. 1.5 kilometers now complete, and we have a long train of riders. The pace is high. Matt said this is a flat start, and it is indeed. You can see that on the top right hand graphic on your screen. There is the very top line on the screen up there above the name of riders. Now, Thea Kersey is the rider on our screen at the moment, concentrating on her screen, but we get to watch her in real life as well as on the screen in front of us.
And she needs to be keeping an eye on those numbers of the kilometres that are on there, because there is going to be, no doubt, an injection of pace, which will change the dynamics when we hit 2.5 kilometres, because that is where we reach the first of our sprints. Now, our sprints are 200 meters long. This made me smile very much when I saw this on the roadbook and in the technical guide that you can download on the mywhoosh.com website, because it said to me, 200 meters, it's short enough to put in a very, very big sprint. It's very explosive, and I think it's going to shake up the racing. Now, Rona Tangulon just trying to make her way back to that group. You can see that she's in the red of that elite category. She's trying to push on here because there is a gap up the road. You can see that the top 11 riders, 10 riders or so, are down the road. She's got to get back into that group pretty quickly, because although it is 11, it's not just the riders that are in the elite category. There are a mix of riders in here, and so this is going to be about making sure she uses the other groups to get there.
Now, the sprint competition, we talked at the front of the show about the climbing competition. The sprint competition, very similar as well. So the riders will go under the green sprint banner signifying the start of the sprint. There will be a second sprint banner signifying the end of the sprint 200 meters later. And there you go. So sweep round the corner in with Jenny Tan. That is the start of the very first sprint. And you can see the riders moving on. Liz Smithson, well, she's putting her colours to the mast early on, going for that sprint competition and putting in a huge effort there. Now, as you go through the sprint, there are points awarded for the top 5 positions. 5 for first, 4 for second, 3 for third, 2 for fourth, and 1 for fifth. Now, those points will be accumulated through the 21 sprint segments over the 5 days to see who wins the sprint competition overall. However, there are indeed segment prizes on each day in the elite competition.
Indeed, there is. Now, will we see Jenny Tan going for the sprint competition here today? You can see Jenny at the moment on your screens, left-hand side, and the stats she is producing at the moment just up there as well. So you can see at the moment 33 kilometers, 34 kilometers an hour at the moment, really motoring down this straight, looking fantastic in terms of the revs, 65 revs per minute, just pushing that gear around, making sure that she's keeping the pace. 164 beats per minute heart rate. So that is really smooth riding there, looking very composed at the moment and looking like she's going to be ready to move through into the group in front. If she can get the gap back down again, 15 seconds at the moment is the gap to Musa Al-Mansouri, the rider just in front. So we will have to see how they go on. Now, right at the very front of the riders out on the road, you can see that we have got two of our riders here who are riding the 5 days for 500, because we have got Kawai Lee here in action. She's right on the heels, though, of our leader. But in terms of elite riders, Maria Madera is in here. We've got Fana Chikor, Sarasuk in here, one of our regular riders, Liz Smith and Rona May Joy Mayer, Musa Al-Mansouri in there. Then it's that gap back to Jenny Tan, who we just saw on our screens. The gaps are opening, and the time that you lose today or you gain today is really going to lay the foundation of what happens afterwards in our next 4 stages, isn't it?
It is indeed. And stage 1, absolutely crucial in terms of getting the feel for things, the feel for the other riders in the competition, the feel for how this is going to go. And Rona May Joy Mayer is indeed the rider there on our screen at the moment, both on or in real life and on as an avatar, part and parcel of this leading group, now becoming stretched on the road. 11 riders were clear in the group with a big gap back there at 4.5 kilometers into the race. Big transition between sprint number 1 and sprint number 2 on this course, 14.4 kilometers to the second sprint from the end of the first.
And 2 climbs on the way which aren't categorized and aren't part of the competition. One that is. So our riders will need to keep a check on that. Just taking a little bit of a look through this group, you can just see that leading group, it is fracturing a little bit as these riders push onwards and through. Interesting to watch with the difference here between the riders. Those riders who are regular riders on the platform will know exactly how to pace this. Those people who've been out and riding, not necessarily in competition, but getting the kilometers in one of the many wheels that are out there. They've just been added to. This is one of the newer worlds that we get onto MyWhoosh at Hadriat, along with California, the 2 newest worlds, and they're both going to feature in the stages of the GCC Summer Championship. Now, we are 8 minutes into our racing so far. We've got the race broken apart somewhat here in the elite category, and it does mean that there are going to be a lot of riders to catch and to chase for our next group away.
Well, 4 race starts today, and I think that's really key for our viewers. So the first race already underway. 10 minutes later, this is going to be our second start, the Premier Elite Women. We will then move into our men's categories.
So we have Nolan Kokkonen of the Sparkle squad, her teammate Angel Ann Hadlock. She's also got Gina De Grazia to call on. And those 3 riders will be up against the second of our teams, the Saddle Queen team. Patty Kainberger, Fatima Al-Aissa, and Jennifer Elos. We also have individual rider Nadine Hash, so she's going to have to do a little bit of wheel surfing, I suspect, and be smart about her riding when she's up against these teams, because she does at least have only her own agenda to worry about, not the team agenda as well. That's going to maybe play into the hands of the team competition. It could play into the hands of our individual riders, but some very familiar names for anybody who has been watching the Sunday Race Club in the Women's Elite competition here on the GCC Summer Championship. Our premium riders, our premier riders in the elite competition about to take to the start. They have lots of riders in front to chase, lots of potential draft to pick up. Getting away on this start is going to be absolutely critical. The clock ticks down. It's time to get ready. The riders' nerves will be running. It's time to get the heart pumping and to get those pedals turning as away we go from the race pen here. It's the second of our race starts here in the GCC Summer Championship, Stage 1 in 2024. Same route, the same climbs and the same sprints, but how fast will they cover this? Will they be able to catch back that 10-minute reminder head start across what is a relatively quick race, because this is not got that big mountain finish that we may be going to see on stage number 5.
Now, 2 elite categories, Matt, should I say, in the women's race, decided in terms of ability. So these are our Premier Women's Elite group, the strongest of those riders who have entered the GCC Summer Championships. They are up, they are out, and they are on the boardwalk, out of the start pen and up to pace really quickly. 42 kilometres an hour at the moment, motoring really well and very tightly grouped together.
They are, and the riders should know how, at least some of them ride. I mean, we've got people like Hadlock and Kokkonen, who have been long-time teammates, riding and racing regularly together. I mean, just in with Jennifer Ellos, another of our riders who really has been excelling week in, week out. It's great to see her in action here. You can see her focused on that screen. The fan is going already, making sure that there's plenty of air moving over. Just try and keep cool. The speed at the moment, look at that, 42 kilometers an hour. And the riders really do now need to make sure they stay on that group. If you drop out of the group, the effort required to push back in is pretty immense, isn't it? We've just seen Hash having to put in an effort to get back into that group. But pretty much everybody coming together at the moment in that pack. That effort required, though, is tough, isn't it, Emma? If you lose the draft, you've been you've raced and you've ridden on MyWhoosh. You know how it feels when you get dropped, I guess. I'm guessing you've been dropped by the group at some point.
There are moments of inattention, which you then have to kick back to make sure you close the gap and get back into the group. And then there are those times where you are just not able to stay with the pace. Now, when you're not able to stay with the pace, picking up the pace to get back in the group is not possible.
But when you have a moment's inattention, it is?
Well, yes, it is. But you do have to work really hard.
You do indeed. I think there was. I get the impression from Emma there that both have occurred at some point during the course of the racing for Emma out on the course here. So we have our riders underway. You can see on the right-hand side of your screen our elite category leaders. You can see at the moment, our chasers, because they are just chasing Mara Madera, who I think is 22 seconds up the road. Musa El Mansouri is going to have to work with with Smithson here to get that those riders back. You can see that Liz Smithson is now not sporting a red jersey, but a green skin suit, and this denotes the leader in the sprints competition in each of our categories. So if you were struggling with the multicolours before, it's only going to get worse.
But
I promise you.
It does make seeing who is leading the sprint competition very straightforward.
It does, and it's a full green skin suit rather than a green jersey. Now let's go back across here to the lead in our premium, in our Premier Elite category here. Just coming into the sprint, you can see there's a kick on here. We're just in with Angel Hadlock, a rider who's been training really, really hard in the last few days. And look at the explosion there. I just saw 10 watts per kilo get kicked down there just to launch for the sprint here. Patty Keinberger is right behind, though. Can she come through? I think that is going to go to Hadlock. It's going to be very, very close, though, as they came through the sprint there. 200 meters is a big, big kick. Interestingly, look at the time.
I know. I'm going to say a couple of things about that sprint. Novelyn Kokkonen came from the back of the group when she pushed her sprint through and put the power down on the pedals. Hadlock went from the front of the group. And the difference there between those two times in 4th and 5th position on your screen is exactly that. Kokkonen was in the draft and benefiting from it in terms of her time in relation to her power. Hadlock was out in the wind because she went from the front. Now, neither of them put the kick in that Liz Smithson did earlier on.
And sometimes that is to do with the pace that you bring into the sprint. So it can be the pace you go in,
Yeah.
but it can also be the volume of riders that go for the sprint.
Yes.
Because if you have more riders, if everybody ups their pace in the group that you're in, even if the group numbers were exactly the same, if everybody in the group goes up in pace, you're really going to rocket forwards. But if only 1 or 2 or 3 or maybe 50% of the group go for it, you're not going to pick up the same speed, are you?
You are exactly right. The pace you come into the sprint is absolutely crucial. If you come into the pace and the group have been steady, 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 and all of a sudden you've really got to kick and go, the momentum isn't there. You're driving hard on the pedals, and yes, you're hitting the power, but you're starting at, say, 25 kilometers an hour instead of 33 kilometers an hour, and you're automatically have issues, even if you put down the same amount of power in terms of the seconds.
Well, we'll see who will be kicking on hard in the rest of that sprint competition. For the moment, though, you can see that the leader in the sprints competition in category that is our Premier Elite is going to be Keimberger, who's got that, I think. I'm just taking a look. It's Keimberger who's got it. Paddy Keimberger there has the sprint time, the fastest sprint time in that category. So each category being awarded the jersey in their category, and that is where it's going to be really critical when it comes to our prizes. Well, not just for each day, but also, of course, at the end of the stage race. So 2 sets of riders away, 3 categories away. And as you can see, we're just in with the group here, which contains Joy Mayer. Sorry, doesn't it? It contains Sarah Sutton as well, Smithson and Al Mansouri.
Yeah.
Joy Mayer, 26 seconds down at the moment. In no man's land a little bit. She could do with a few riders coming up, but there is always that possibility, isn't there? If you're in a leading group towards the front, if you're maybe not right on the front, that people will come up from behind, particularly when you've got the Premier Elite chasing.
And that is one of the things that does happen when we have 4 race starts with 10 minutes between each race category.
So we have had 10 minutes between the Elite and our Premier Elite women. We've got 10 minutes between the Premier Elite women and the first of our men's starts here. Now, this is 2 sets of riders. We saw that earlier on. We have our amateur riders on the right-hand side of your screen in that light blue, and we have our Elite men's category in the green. The last set of riders to go, which will be in 10 minutes' time with a big old ask, is going to be our Premier Elite riders. These are who they're going to have to chase down. So in our Elite category, our Wheel Warriors, Perez in there, Talahat Bentahaya in there as well. The Alpha Wheel squad, Al Hassani, Al Zabi, Al Obeidil, as well as Suleiman. Big squad, that 4 riders. Yeah. That's going to help them. Team Alpha, well, Burma has been riding very strongly recently. Mother Salim in there, Al Saidi in there as well. Going to be very interesting to see if they can take on Team Poggy, because we've got Cadabona, Demanu, and Kennup and Kaluma. No doubt out to go take it out. But we also have a big raft of individual riders, including the one and only SS, who we know is an incredibly strong rider in his own right. He's on his way back into the racing, and we're going to see who's going to be in there. Tom Harvey in there as well.
Yeah, Al-Ramethri, Hassan Al-Ramethri, brilliant climber.
Going to be very interesting to see how he gets on when we hit the hills. Today, maybe not quite long enough. He's got to make those count. Now, second of these 2 groups that are in this way that are going to leave our start pens are our men's amateur categories. And again, lots of familiar names in here and quite a lot of new names in there. If you're new and you're in the men's amateur category, welcome, enjoy. Emma's already given you some heads up in terms of what you should be thinking about in your racing and in your riding. I've got a few for you as well. One is, no hill goes on forever. I tell myself that very, very regularly. So if you think it's taking forever, don't worry. No hill goes on forever. And don't forget that you keep on going. You will come out of this, the other side, a faster and better rider once you've recovered.
That's true. Well, we have a whole host of amateur men, around 145 men in the amateur category. So this is going to be a huge start today. In fact, we've got around just over 180 men in total taking part, and over 50 women taking part as well in the GCC Summer Series.
So the clocks tick down. It's time to head out on our race. Starts here. We are going to go out with our elite men in that green jersey, not the green skin suit. Time for these riders to make sure they get this start just right. We're in with Leonard Greg Cadabona, a very, very experienced rider and racer on MyWhoosh. One of those people who we see on our start sheets on the Sunday Race Club, our premium race series on MyWhoosh, regularly in the thick of the action. Whether he'll be in that at the very end, we will see. Now, another rider who we have seen on the Sunday Race Club, Moises Baltazar, in action on the front of the pack here and kicking down hard here. But this is the amateur men, remember, so not subjected to quite the same level of scrutiny as you will see on those riders who are in the green jerseys. There are elite men's competition riders, and they are mixed in with this group. And having this experience of riding with riders in a different category is really, really a great way to learn about the different racing that can go on simultaneously on the same course, because we do see that.
We do indeed, and it is part and parcel of that. It's about participation as well, and participating in something like this. Participating in a 5-day stage race is not something a lot of people get the opportunity to do. And if you don't have, the dual recording equipment, or you don't have the ability, the right turbo trainer to do the passport verifications and etc., having these amateur categories, which are more open and about participation, really allow riders who wouldn't be able to experience something like this to take part.
And to compare their times.
Yeah.
They will know how well they're going against these riders. And maybe, they're going to come out this and go, do you know what? I really love that. I want to keep on doing this. And they can jump on a tune-up Tuesdays, or they can jump in with one of our veterans races. And that's another great example of multi-categories racing together.
Yep.
Because once we go to our age-categorized racing, you might all be racing on the same course at the same time as this huge train of riders we see now, just like this. But, of course, you're all in different age categories, because you split into 5-year age categories.
Lots of racing on offer, from team time trials to age category racing to riding and racing for riders who are increasing their levels of fitness and maybe haven't raced before. So there is indeed even a sub 2 watts per kilo race series.
Fantastic. We hope that people from all the way across the GCC are going to be jumping on board and taking part and riding in all of those races. Now, we are in with Al Zaruni at the moment. He's just there.
Excellent.
I'm loving the fact that we're getting a thumbs up. I have waved back, I promise. One day we're going to get a camera on me when every time I wave at our riders. Great to see you here, but I hope you're going to have a great race and a great ride. I hope you're going to get to the end of all 5 stages. If you're feeling good, give us a thumbs up. If you're a bit nervous, maybe give us a little bit of a wobbly thumb. Let's see what we're going to get from him. He's looking very, very comfortable at the moment.
He is.
At the moment, and nice to see that he's got the bike on the wall as well. It's always, I think, inspirational having lots of nice kit around you.
Well, indeed, and having a group of riders around you as well is always helpful as well. And moving well through the pack with the riders around, sitting now comfortably in this pack. It is, it's interesting, isn't it? The group have stretched out of the start pen, but you can see heart rate at 177. It's a strong heart rate, but look at the revs. Over 100 revs per minute.
And he's going to bring them into this sprint section now. We're going to see a few people, I think, try and push on through here. What time can they set for the 200 meters as they go in through? This is like doing a flying 200 meters on the start. Now, we talked about the size of the pack, the volume of people going for this. It looks like Eslam Ayed has gone from the front, but as we have seen already, that's not necessarily going to get you the fastest time out on course. We're going to wait to see how that goes. 13th fastest time from Ayed, because he was pushing in through the wind. Interesting to see that when some of our regulars in their list missions time, still the fastest time at the moment. Remember, these are live time. Cristiano Kennup and looks like he's right in there. Joy Kaluma in there now. Kaluma taking the 3rd fastest time overall in that group. But this could change at any time. And we've seen this. We saw this last year in the MyWhoosh Championship, didn't we? Because we saw riders going from the back, sprinting through in a group and using that as their competition.
And that was exactly true, because part and parcel of the MyWhoosh Championships, where there was a sprint competition over that 8-day stage race, we did see riders target just the sprint competition. So they didn't participate at the front of the daily racing. They specifically targeted those sprint sections and planned accordingly, having an easier ride between those sprint sections. And we didn't see the fastest time for the sprint set following the leading pack. It came at later in the race.
Because if you are flat out on the limit all the way through the race, it's almost impossible to then put in what is a winning sprint on top of that, because you're just working too hard the rest of the time.
Well, you are indeed, and we're in with more of our riders at the moment, taking a look at this long pack of riders. But all credit, I have to say, has to go to Liz Smithson at the moment, because she is still holding on to the fastest sprint time, and our elite men's category have already been through.
Indeed, so going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. Now, in with Yusuf Al Hamadi at the moment. Yusuf giving us a wave. Good to see you, sir. He's in action at the moment, looking like he's pretty smooth at the minute, just nicely tucking himself in to the wheels. Got Mendoza just in front. Looks like there's a little bit of a train in front, and if he can close these gaps down, get onto the wheels, it's going to be really, really key. Now, let's jump from our men's categories back across to the rider who at the moment is chasing our two leads. This is the lead of the women's elite.
Yes.
So we hope you are switched on. You've had enough coffees today. Anybody who watched the Sunday Race Club last weekend will know that we didn't have enough. And into the climb goes Mario Madeira. Now, this is to take us up on to the roof of the velodrome, so you can just see this spiraling climb that takes you up. This is one of my favorite bits of Hydriat to ride, because it's a bit like the spiral of doom that we used to build in cyclocross courses in about 1999. You basically go in, you go spiral your way up, and then you turn around and you come spiraling back out again. And if you're not dizzy, you carry on. Now, hopefully our riders here, because they are on esports, are not going to be quite as dizzy. But Myra Madeira, that's a good gap now at the front here. She said her stall out as an overall leader here and potential overall winner. Myra Madeira with a gap to Al-Mansouri of nearly a minute.
Yeah, she is coming up for that minute mark. Now, this climb, the Veldrome climb, it's 600 meters in length with an average gradient of 3.1%. So you can see just coming towards the top now is Madeira. She's the first rider from this elite women's field on to this climb. Al-Mansouri, Smithson, Sarasuk are going to follow her on at a later date. In fact, there indeed is Musa Al-Mansouri. She is on the right, and you can see on the bottom left-hand side of your screen, look at all those colours now on this spiral climb. Absolutely loving the velodrome climb here on the course today.
So as you can see, we have had 3 of our waves of starts go. We have our final category of riders, the hound to chase all of those hares in front of them. It is going to be our Premier Elite men's competition. These riders, well, they have got the work cut out here against the quality of a competition here. Now, in our men's elite competition, you can see we've got the Abu Dhabi team. We have got fantastic riders like Hassan Sultan, Jedi Bello, Yasser Belushi. We've got Francis Alpino and Ivan Yuki in there. High Torque squad. 4 riders in there, not the 5 of Abu Dhabi, Al Hakta, Cirillo, Kalangad, and Elos. Again, very, very strong riders in the teams. They're going to be up against the UAE team here. Now, Yusuf Mirza Al Hamadi is a man to watch here for sure. Pablo Popovic, very experienced rider, maybe one of the most experienced riders, is Q10, who's up against Khalid Mayouf. We've got Al Kabi in there as well. That UAE team, 5 riders in there, could be the team to beat. But remember, our individual riders, and our rider for the Korfachen cycling team, they are individuals. And ones, they can surf the wheels. They don't have to look after anybody else. Who will it be? Emma, have you got a race favourite in the men's Premier Elite field? Do you have? Are we going to elicit a prediction in the next 15 seconds?
Well, I don't know. To be honest, Pablo Popovic, historically on the Sunday Race Club, when he is on form, phenomenal athlete.
Okay, right, that's your 15 seconds done. We're not going to let Emma think about it any longer, is she? She's not going to be able to talk about it because we are getting ready to start off our final set of riders here on the GCC Summer Championship, Stage 1 for 2024. They're underway, the wheels are turning. It's time for our riders now to see who is going to be taking away those prizes in our general classification, in our sprints competition, and in our climb. And the pace, it is absolutely blisteringly quick.
It is indeed. I've clocked 50 kilometres an hour from this peloton
In
coming
the first
out of the start
150
pace
metres.
in the first 150 metres. They're settling down a little bit now around, look at that, the low 40s. As the group all come together, they swing around the right-hand corner on that boardwalk. This is so fast, absolutely motoring, still putting out around 5 watts per kilo, really wanting to get this race underway.
Well, interesting to see Mohamed Al-Kaisi here pushing on now. These are big numbers he's pushing out here. This is a very, very strong start. This is dangerous, though, for him more than it is for the others because we have got a long way to go. We have got 38.4 kilometres. And the problem with trying to keep this going solo is you've got a big pack behind. And we've seen just in the space of the 200 metres of the sprint how hard it is to go through at the fastest pace if you're on your own. Going to be very, very difficult to do. Now, Al-Kaisi leading this out behind. You've got Cuta, you've got Al Refai, we have Mutawe on action, Abello, Nuki, everybody sitting in that pack saving energy. You can see that the gap that was initially opened up is basically holding there, but they're not having to work as hard. So at the moment, Al-Kaisi just out of the saddle, sits back down again, and he's now going to have to just think about this. I would put you money he's in the bike shop.
I would say that completely indeed. That is a bike shop in the background.
I wonder if Wolf is in on Hadria Island. In fact, it's quite possible to see him in action, looking very, very strong. I'm going to have a little bit of a look to see where he's in Bahrain. From Bahrain and in Bahrain, so it won't be in Wolfies unless he's decided to go have a little bit of a trip across. Looking very, very strong at the moment. He's not riding on his own. Interestingly, that he's got company beside him as well. That was a big kick out. He's now going to have to hold this. No pressure, sir. But that was...
Yeah, and please get in touch with at Matt Fixerpain or at biking_Emma on social media to tell us what bike shop you are riding from.
Let us know. When I was 13, I went to go work in a bike shop. And ever since then, I have a slight addiction to looking at people's bike shops around the world. I'm going to hold my hand up now and say, please, please, please do let me know. If you work in a bike shop, if you're in a bike shop, let me know. Because I have to say, it was some of the most fun I had. Was riding my bike and working in a bike shop. Well, how better can it be? Right, in with the team. Ivan Nuki, top of your screens here. Francis Alpino sat in the middle, and then we've got Yasser Abalushi down at the bottom there, all looking at their screens, all working hard here. Ivan Nuki, very experienced rider. So is Francis Alpino. Alpino, a veteran of the MyWhoosh Championships last year. A really, really strong rider. Right in the mix here. And I think these riders, they're really going to benefit from this race here today. I think because it's a different mix of riders, it's going to put them under different pressure coming in and through.
It is indeed, and you can see the riders coming through here into the start of the first sprint for them. They are the last group of riders into the sprint today as we watch Francis Pino pushing on here. 11.4 watts per kilo.
Nice.
That is a rider who wants to take away the sprint championships.
And you can see him dropping immediately from those 11 down to 3 watts per kilo, 2.5. He's easing back off again. This is going to enable him to be able to get some recovery, to try and get rid of the lactic acid. And that is reflected in the time, 13.084.
Look at his heart rate.
Yeah, he did that. You saw he was working hard. He was up near the front of that group. Remember, that is a small group. They went through at some pace. Absolutely flying. Interesting to see the nearest competition in the Premier Elite men's competition is Ibrahim Al-Refai in there. But you look at the time difference, 1.6 seconds, but it's a long competition. Quick reminder that across the 5 stages, there are 21 sprint segments. So if you want to win this, you are going to have to get points all the way through. You cannot afford to give away anything on the way through. You're going to want to score big. You want to set your stall out nice and early. But can you repeat it for all of the sprints? We've got 5 sprints today on stage 1. That is much, much more difficult. And I think, Emma, a bit like a points race on the track. I've raced on the Veldrome quite a lot. When it's a points race, I would generally not go for sprint number 1 on a points race, because it would always be those are really over keen and over eager. It was fought out way too hard. And then the people in there, they had to be astounding to be able to keep repeating it all the way through that race. Very, very difficult to do.
Well, tactics do come into play in all of our competitions, Matt, not just at the front of each race in terms of who's going to take 1, 2, 3 over the line, but tactics also come into play in terms of the overall sprint competition, and we will also see that in the climbing competition as well. While talking about climbing, Angel Hadlock is indeed climbing at the moment. She is the first rider in the Premier Elite Women's race to go up and over the climb, and she takes that polka dot skin suit, which you can see beautifully there, because she is the first one up and the fastest in that category.
And faster than Kekkonen and Kaimberger, who have also just come over the top. They're only separated by a few seconds on course. Really interesting. Patty Kaimberger from Germany, living in the UAE, one of the Saddle Queen squad, up against Hadlock and Kekkonen at the moment in the squad from Sparkle.
Well, and that is interesting to see. Also, what's interesting to see in the elite women's competition, who have already gone through, we saw Myra Madeira go through from the Velocity Vixens, but she didn't set the fastest time in that elite women's category. Musa Al-Mansouri went faster, so did Liz Smithson, and so did Sarah Sook as well.
Yep. So really interesting, not just about being the first up the climb. And sometimes that is not to your advantage, because the speed these riders are going up there. We saw Angel Ann Hadlock really rocketing up there. And the speed you go up there, you are going to basically get draft advantage by coming through the group. So you've got to work out where you're going. Now,
love that. Green skin suit, polka dot skin suit, blue jersey.
Yep. And absolutely nailing on the ride there, because that is Kekkonen, that is Kaimberger and Hadlock. So you got Kekkonen in the blue, you have got Hadlock in the polka dot, and you got Kaimberger in the green in that category. Now, as you can see, riders all the way out and around the course. We're just in with Myra Madeira at the moment at 21.6 kilometers. Angel Hadlock at 17k. We have got SS at 11.5 kilometers at the moment, and our men's Premier Elite, they are currently at 5.5k, so plenty of distance for them to do, whereas Myra Madeira is rocketing through here. She's on a ride 27, 47, 46 seconds ahead of Al-Mansouri. Interesting.
Yeah. So Madeira, she's leading the first category away, the elite women. Hadlock leading the Premier Elite women at the moment, with Kekkonen in there as well as Kaimberger. Now back into the Premier men's race, and Q10 here is pushing on. Popovic in 2, Nuki in 3. This group of riders, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just stretching their legs at the moment from the main group, but I don't think they're going to ride away from them at the moment. So Pino is in there, Elos is in there, Al Hamadi is in there as well, Abello is in the mix, so is Carrillo. This group, they might be stretched, but they are all still one main group. Well, Yusuf Al-Hamadi is on the screen at the moment. You can see the concentration and the cadence and the effort going in as he changes gear there, pushing on, strong heart rate, strong racing at the moment, and less than 10 minutes so far of this Premier Men's race.
Well, Yusuf is one of the ultimate riders. He is an absolute class professional rider. We know he's world class for that UAE Emirates team. He's a rider who we know has got the strength and the ability to work for the squad. He can work really, really well when it comes to the racing, but we know he's got the ability to win this as well. And he is one of those riders that knows how to ride. He's sat in that group. He's also, of course, don't forget, part of the UAE team here on the GCC Summer Championships, along with a very strong squad of MyWhoosh, Popovic, Q10 and Al-Kabi. I think they are setting out their stall to be the team in charge, because at the moment Q10 is leading out the group in pursuit of the lone leader, and he is working incredibly hard at the moment just to keep control of this group, and the damage that's being done behind is shedding riders again. So the Premier Elite Men's category shedding riders across the course. Now let's take a little bit of a look back. We're going to jump in with our Elite Men's competition. We're in with Ronda Erasmus at the moment, looking like just taking on board some fluids there, just trying to make sure he stays hydrated there. You can see that bike as he spins those legs around 90 revs per minute, nice and smooth. A good pedal cadence, and just takes a little bit of rest and then kicks on again. Just wanted to make sure that he gets those legs spinning, and you can see at the moment the watts, they're big numbers, aren't they? We're talking nearly 400 watts when he's really stamping down on those pedals. Well, looking very focused though as well, sitting in with SS. And these two riders, I think they mean business at the front of that Elite Men's race, at the front of the Premier Elite Men's race. You can see the chase is on. Q10 working hard over the top of this. This is one of the two non-categorized, non-point scoring climbs that are the big bridges that take us in and across over the water, and that climb is substantial, Emma. It's breaking the group. You can see the dot to dot of these riders that go up and over the top here.
You can indeed, and that bottom left hand, graphic really giving us an indication as to what is happening with all the riders at the moment. And we've got riders going in both directions at the moment over the bridge. So Sultan is pushing on, Q10 is there, Al Hamadi is there, Nuki is all in the mix here as they head onto the downhill section now off of the bridge.
And this is where their pace will pick up, the speed will come up, the time gap to the rider in front should drop here if they continue to push. And this is your first real big selection being made here, because I think you're going to find that if you're not in this leading group as you drop down here, you're going to find the time gap is going to go out, and we may be seeing the first selection and the first showing in terms of that overall competition, the general classification for the race overall, with the riders who are in here. So Q10, Al Hamadi, Nuki, Popovic, Cirillo. We've got Arafai in here. Mataway is in as well. Abello is distance. So look at this. You can just see those last two just get distance, and the gap's going out quickly, isn't it? 9 seconds now, 12 seconds to Abello. JD Abello in there. But got to remember, this is 5 days of racing. And as we've said before many times, going to be tough. You could well find it all comes back together. Looks like Clinton Cirillo at the moment on a good ride. He's nicely in with this group. He's tucked into the group. I think he's working hard at the moment, looking at his face there, but clearly enjoying it, because whether that's a grimace or a smile at the moment, it's definitely not a frown on his face, which is always good. Happy riders go faster.
They do indeed. And at the moment, this is the lead in the Premier Elite Women's. Kekkonen, Kienberger, Hadlock, they are ahead of Elos by about 19 seconds at the moment, but they're pushing on now because they're coming through the dock sprint at the moment. This is sprint number 3 on the course today. Pushing on here, we've already seen the elite women go through. Smithson setting the fastest time. Now, interestingly, in the other women's race at the moment, Jenny Tan coming from the back of the field, obviously now concentrating on the sprints, saying the second fastest time. The question is now, will these Premier Elite women set a faster time through the sprint section? The answer,
yes, they can.
Yes,
oh, my goodness.
They can.
Look at that. So we've just seen Patty Kienberg go back through with Angel Hadlock and Novelin Kekkonen. These are our 3 leaders in the competition. We're just in with Novelin Kekkonen at the moment. Kienberger taking the fastest time from Hadlock, from Kekkonen in this category. And that means that Kienberger has extended her lead at the front of that competition once again. So Really, really important to get those points in. Now, are we seeing a real mix here? Nolan Kekkonen in action. Once again, that MyWhoosh jersey. I tell you, Nolan Kekkonen must either have the best washing machine in the world ever, or she's got a collection of MyWhoosh jerseys, because week in, week out, she's wearing that jersey.
I tell you,
it could be a fast jersey. She might be the jersey she thinks makes her go faster.
What? It is very true. Some riders do indeed have kit that they prefer to ride and race in. But one of the things I always love is when we get to see the shots of our riders. It just shows you how hard the riders are actually working. And Kekkonen there absolutely showing us the effort going in behind this race.
Wow. It is absolutely fast and frantic. We're up on to the big bridges again. We're just in with Ibrahim Al-Rafai at the moment, just making his way up through this number of riders. He's making his way past here. So these are the riders in the men's competition in the amateur competition. He's working at the moment to try and pull the gap back, and he is starting to make ground here. He is going to be picking up some places here. Working hard though, you can just see getting some food there, getting on board some potassium there as well, which is really good. Anti-cramp bananas, very, very handy for that.
Well, also what's really interesting to see, obviously in a sports hall, Matt, so riders riding and racing from a wide variety of locations.
Yep, definitely. And riding for the Korfakin team, he's a rider from Syria who's currently resident in the UAE. So at the moment, doing a great ride, looking good. Now, I'll tell you something, with a performance like this, you could see him racing for Syria in the World Championships, which is possible. UAE resident. But of course, the championships will be in the UAE for the World Championships in October. Looking forward to that. That's a one-day race, albeit over a number of stages in one day. We are on a full 5-day, 5-stage race here, though, and we have all 6 categories underway. Now, Greg Cadabona in the elite men's competition has got company with Bouamur in there as well. In the same category, they are surrounded by a number of riders who are in the men's amateur competition. Cadabona, wow, he's looking... Mate, you're looking pretty hot there, buddy. That is warm where he is. You can see he's working hard at the moment. And I'm not surprised. The pace of all these races are frantic. And if you think half an hour into the racing, you really, I mean, for me, once you go over that 20-minute marker, you really start to feel it. And that's when, your body's not necessarily coming up from cold. You're going to be at operating temperature then. And you can just see the bottle goes over the neck there to help cool down, help keep that temperature from going too high.
And keeping that body temperature down is absolutely crucial. And you'll see riders using fans, you'll see them using water, you'll see them doing a wide range of things in terms of trying to keep that body temperature down.
Including lots of airflow, because Ivan Nuki at the moment there, and he's definitely working well right up in this front group. Good to see Ivan in the Premier Men's Competition, the Ugandan rider, resident in the UAE, ran for the Abu Dhabi team.
Well, I'll tell you something, 4 riders,
good,
4 riders in this leading group, absolutely motoring. They've got 17 seconds on Hassan Sultan, who's the rider closest to them. In fact, I think Popovic may be with Sultan as well. So 4 riders in this Premier Elite men's category now leading this race.
So let's see how this race progresses, because these riders are in an interesting mix. Nuki we've just seen. We're now seeing Al Hamadi in here. Yusuf, I tell you something. He's looking, when you see a rider just like riding along, looking like they're out for a Sunday ride. That's Yusuf.
I don't look like that when I'm out for a Sunday ride.
No, neither do I. But I tell you something, he's looking very pro at the moment. Sat there, riding along, looking like, do you know what? I've got plenty in the tank. We'll see whether that's the case. Is he bluffing? Will he be able to pull something out as we go further down the course? the riders on our left-hand side of the screen. 13.5 kilometres covered. Right-hand side of your screen, you can see they are our leaders on the road overall. They are our women's amateur leaders at the moment. Bosmans and going to be Kawai Lee, who are in the overall lead. They've got to 28.5k
they've got
at the moment.
Just under 10 kilometres to go now. So stage 1 for our early starters. In fact, there is Myra Madeira. She's over a minute behind the two amateur racers, but she's at 28.2 kilometres. So she's coming up for that 10-kilometre marker to go.
And we know that Myra Madeira has gone clear of Musa Al-Mansouri, so she's at the moment opening up a lead on stage number 1. Now, one of the things this will do is it will hand her the leader's jersey for the next stage, stage 2, if she can continue this to the line. And we have to be very, very aware that these riders don't necessarily all want to have that big target of being a yellow jersey. We see it time and time again in the stage racing. Riders don't always want to be at the front on stage 1 because they've got to work all the way, and that target is there.
But let's bear this in mind. The general classification is based on time. So the cumulative time of the rider over each of the 5 stages. And at the conclusion of the 5th stage, the rider with the lowest cumulative time will be awarded as the GC winner. Now, Madeira's putting in a great time gap on stage 1, which does give her some slippage room on stage 2, 3, 4, and 5.
And one of the things that I would be wary of doing here in stage 1, this is a road stage. This is a stage with sprints, with climbs, with groups. Stage 2, when you look in that road book, it is a time trial. So we're talking an individual effort, no drafting. No matter how good a time trial rider you are, if you go off the front solo and time trial stage 1, you've then got to repeat it on stage 2. And then you've got to go into your road stages of 3, 4, and 5. That, I'm not sure, is the best tactic. Certainly not for every rider. It may well be the case that Myra Madeira's got this planned out. She's going to do 2 days of that and then be staying front. We will have to see. Can't wait to find out.
Different techniques, different tactics. Let's see how they play out over 5 days.
I love bike racing because it is just such a game of chess. So many different moves to make, so many different tactics in there, so many different plays going on. Now, this group is very, very, very strong. They're on to the climb. So we've got Q10, we have got Al Haita, we've got Al Hamadi in there, we've got Nuki at the moment. Those are your 4 riders in our Premier Elite men's competition. You can see behind them all and around here on Hadriat, going up on to at the top of the Veldrome.
Oh, what a shot.
You can see the riders scooting around below, chasing, trying to get back on to the climb. And as you spiral your way up to the top here, this is a fantastic shot. I hope we're going to follow this all the way up and through underneath the banner here, because these riders are working hard here. They want to take away the points. Who's going to get the fastest time? Look at the acceleration through there as they came up and over the line. I think that was Al Hamadi who went over the line first. Has he got the fastest time overall up that climb? It may well be he's going to take away that. We're going to take a little bit of a look. At the moment, the fastest time is Patrick Harrington, but somehow I suspect he's going to find his equipment he's playing magic tricks for him, because 4 minutes up that climb ain't going to happen.
There you go.
There we go. 59 seconds, 0.952 for Al Case, who's currently our leader on the road in that Premier category. He will have worked all the way. There's no tactics for him. Behind him, Al Hamadi scoring points, Nuki scoring points. That is in the men's elite competition. Interesting to see one of our riders who we know will go on solo attacks and go look for every second they can on the climb. Is Angel Hadlock. Hadlock's time up there, right in the mix, along with Hassan Al-Methri. I can even say it on the good days. I'm pointing at Emma, talking at the same time, and we're getting different riders on the screen. Just confused my poor little brain on a stage race. Never good. Al-Methri is a rider that you, Emma, flagged up at the start was a rider who could climb, and he's right up in that mix.
We did indeed say that right at the top of the show. And Al Kahaldi is the rider on the screen we can see at the moment in the amateur men's competition, and working hard, and he's got time for a wave and
Excellent.
a thumbs up as well.
Good
and he's
man.
got company at the moment from Al Hamadi. So riders around him as well. So he's got company. He's got a group on the road. Pushing some good watts there, 232 watts at the moment, 2.5 watts per kilo. Heart rate around 169, so concentration on the face, but perhaps not over the top of his limit.
No, definitely not. And you look at those revs there, it's really smooth. 87, 88 revs per minute coming there. Really good to see that consistency in there. He's really in control of that pace and the revs, sitting at a pace he's comfortable with, which is great to see. It's day one. Hopefully we'll go back to him and see if he's just as smooth on day 5. We'll find out.
Well, our Premier Elite men have just motored through the next sprint section. We said there was 14.4 kilometres between sprint number 1 and sprint number 2. At 17.7 kilometres now into this race, our Premier Elite men have now just gone through their Huderiat sprint at, well, finishing at 17.3.
And interestingly to see, we are seeing Joy Kaluma, I think,
yes,
if I've got the right results in front of me, from the elite men, posting the fastest time there. Second fastest time, Theo Kearse in there, really kicking on in that women's competition. Liz Misson's right up there, Angel Hadlock's right up there. Then it's Al Case. It shows you that the riders are focusing on the sprints in this competition. It's really mixing things up.
Definitely in that women's competition. Certain women in those women's categories have decided that the sprints are what they are going for, and they are going to put their hammer down today through those sections.
Well, they're going to have to work well together if they want to challenge, if they want to get up to the very front of the race, because it is very, very fast indeed. Just in with Hesham Talat at the moment. Just see the rider there in our elite competition, tucked in with a nice group around, so it's a great way to make sure that you're getting some draft in there. Use these riders that are around you to make sure that you're being really efficient. They're 96 revs per minute, good high revs spinning away. Just drop down a smidge in there. That's a little bit in for anybody who isn't up with Yorkshire for a little as you go in and through. Heart rate 150, so looking pretty comfy there, 37 kilometres an hour, so still ticking along nicely at the moment. Just got to make sure that he gets the pacing right here today. And I think that's one of the key things for me here, Emma. Pacing, cooperation. Make sure you get that pacing right on the way through. Know how hard you can go and not go too crazy on stage 1, because if you do, you could find yourself in trouble. It's a gamble. It's a gamble that Myra Madeira has taken.
Well, she has indeed, but I'll tell you something, Matt, the time gap to Al Mansouri is coming down. So Myra Madeira, we can see her on the screen, on the camera shot at the moment. She's currently leading this elite women's race category 4. She is fluctuating between around 35 and 45 seconds at the moment back to Al Mansouri. Al Mansouri picking up the pace now. Roname Joy Mayer is the rider in third behind. She was riding with Liz Smithson some time ago. Be interesting to see whether that is still the case, but Madeira definitely pushing on here. Al Mansouri has company in the amateur women's competition. In fact, that is Mel B. What a Spice Girl on a bridge.
Spice Girl on a bridge. Mel B, never thought you'd say that again in a bike race commentary, but you just have done. What was interesting for me, apart from the Spice Girls reference, was the fact that Musa Al Mansouri and Myra Madeira and Roname Joy Mayer are all three riding for the Velocity Vixens. That team are strong, but they've chosen to ride an individual race rather than to ride as a team. Interesting tactics. It might be that once they've done that, they can then work as a team. Now, we're going to drop from our women's race to our men's race. Out on course at the moment, 25 kilometres covered. We're in with SS, one of those riders who knows this platform inside out. If ever there was a rider you know is going to do the work, it's SS. He's right in here at the moment in that elite men's competition on the right-hand side of your screen. Left-hand side of your screen, Q10 in the Premier Men's Elite competition. He's pushing on here because he knows that he's going into the sprint. Will he have the fastest time? Well, I'm not sure. I think Yusuf Mirza Al Hamadi is pushing over the top here, but look at Al Hakta as well. He's really gone strong over the top. This is a wind up, but none of them have gone too far into the red. It's like they've had a little bit of a sprint, but they've not gone flat out because they know they've still got to work.
Well, and that's the really interesting thing, isn't it? Because I've got the results from the dock sprint up in front of me. And I can tell you that Joy Kaluma from Team Poggy in the elite men's category, he is absolutely going for every sprint. Average watts per kilo, 13.8 through that sprint. Determined, there you go, determined to take the sprint competition today.
And look at those top four. Kaluma, Curse, Smithson, Hadlock. Sound familiar? Funny, that, isn't it? All right, up there, right in the mix. Pino, again, 8.4 watts per kilo. Absolutely nailing this. Look at the numbers that they're putting down there to get through ahead of riders who I think are riding for the overall. People like LK, people like Al Hakta and Q10, who are in that men's Premier Elite competition and rode through with a watts per kilo that showed they were just squeezing on just that little bit there. Very, very interesting. I think we're going to be looking at the results in some detail tonight and into tomorrow. If you do want to look at the results, it is mywhoosh.com. For the website, go on there, click on the menu. If you haven't already downloaded it and are jumping on board, make sure you do that as well. But do please have a look at those results. Remember that they are at the moment live and provisional, and we're bringing them to you as the racing happens. Now, we have our categories out on the road, our riders out on the road. They are racing in stage one of the GCC, the Gulf Corporation Council race. The riders, well, that cooperation is going to need to come in for our team riders when it comes to that GCC overall. The general classification in the Gulf Corporation Council GCC Summer Championship is going to be critical because that is where these riders know whether they've come out on top. Now, Myra Madeira, bottom right-hand side of your screen, absolutely fine. We're just going to see her on the main screen at the moment. She is currently at 34.4K, now 34.5, working well at the moment, being chased by Angel Hadlock, but Hadlock still has a few riders in front. She is making ground, though.
Yeah, she is making ground indeed. And Hadlock here pushing on the climb at the moment at 31 kilometres of this 38.4 kilometre race. Pushing on, and you can see the Sparkle squad there. Kekkonen up and out the saddle. So is Hadlock. De Grazia, look of concentration on her face. The hard work going in here. And Hadlock just gapping now Kekkonen. Kekkonen back at 24 seconds. But Keinberger is hanging on by a tyre width.
She is indeed. So you've got basically you've got Hadlock, you've got Kekkonen, you've got Keinberger, who are just at the front here. Gina de Grazia is working her socks off here. And why is she doing that? Because she knows that she is in that team competition with Hadlock, with Kekkonen. She's in a real battle with Jennifer Ellos. When you see them come on your screen, you've got De Grazia and you've got Ellos. They are racing almost side by side. They're racing for time in that team competition. And that is why this is such a great way to improve as you as a rider, as a racer, because by racing as a team, wherever you are, at the front, the back, the middle, you have got to work because you know that your team are depending on you as well. Amazing to see that working together. It kind of sums up the objectives of the GCC. I mean, it's great to have a sponsor that basically believes in coordination, integration, and interconnection between member states. Because guess what? That's what these riders have to do. They have to be coordinated. They have to integrate their effort, and they have to have a connection between each other when they're racing for a team. It's absolutely critical. It sums it up brilliantly for me. And I'll tell you what, it's summed up in Q10 here because he knows that he's racing for the UAE team here. He's got his teammate in there in Yusuf Mirza Al Hamadi. They are racing up against some strong riders. High Talks Fadel Al-Hakta is looking very, very good. He's really mixing it up with them. It's good to see him in action here.
Yeah, it is indeed. On the right-hand side of your screen, this is the elite men's race, and it's looking like SS now has now broken Erasmus as by 4 seconds. So the two riders were together, but now at 28.5 kilometres on this climb as SS pushes onto the top of the climb. The climb seems to have been what has broken these two riders apart. So SS and Erasmus were indeed together. They are now split by 5 seconds. Al Hamathri, I think, looks like is about 10 seconds back.
Right, we will have to keep an eye on that as they've gone out to the island, going over the bridges. It's definitely making life tough work. Remember, we have the double bridge climbs coming early and coming later, separating the riders from the start and the finish. We have one more sprint after our bridges. You can see at the moment, Myra Madeira just going in and through at 36.2 kilometers. It is the Huderiat sprint. 200 meters, she doesn't need to sprint though. She's got to keep a smooth effort. I think if she sprinted, she may be in danger actually of then having to back off and lose a huge amount of time.
Well, that is it indeed. And looking through some of the results, Matt, I can see that the decisions around and the tactics around sprinting are really important. But let's take a look at this. Carway Lee, one of our amateur women. It's 38.1 kilometres from the 38.4 kilometre. That's the banner at the moment. And Carmen Boesmans is chasing hard.
She's just got over the top there, so it looks like Carmen Boesman is going to be our first rider home here today. Goes over the top of Kawai Lee. This is going to be really tight between them, but Boesman goes over the line with Kawai Lee. They're our first riders home. One stage done, 4 more to go for them. They are just ahead of Myra Madeira here, who's the first of our elite women on the course. At the moment, she has 1 minute 15 on the nearest chaser. She's at 37k,
Brilliant.
1,000 meters to go.
Brilliant to see our amateur categories absolutely getting stuck in here on stage 1 and pushing on hard. The first 2 riders in the amateur women's competition up and over the line. Myra Madeira, the first rider in the women's elite competition. It looks like she may be the first elite category woman to see the finish line. But I am not going to hold that to at the moment because she's still got 1.2 kilometres to go. Al-Mansouri in 2 is around a minute back. Joy Mayer around 2 minutes back with Smithson.
And look at this, Musa Al-Mansouri's got the green sprint skin suit. So Al-Mansouri might be giving away a little bit of time to Myra Madeira, but she has picked up the sprint win today. She is leading that competition today. She's got the most points in that category, in the elite women's category. So interesting riding. Madeira has gone away. She's going to get the overall lead in the GC, subject to verification. But behind, her teammate Al-Mansouri's picked up the green jersey and is putting in a good time in case something happened. I mean, we do see that happen on stage races. People have a bad day. They lose loads of time. The team have backed it up. Al-Mansouri going right in there. Now, behind Liz Smithson, looks like she's just gone through. Oh, look at that. She's stolen on the last sprint.
Whoa.
Literally ripped that green skin suit
She
off
wanted
Al-Mansouri. Smithson has gone through now. She now has those 2 points tally, and that means that Liz Smithson of the Aussie Balotelli squad is now challenging and has taken the sprint points so far. And judging by the results so far, it looks like she's going to make it. Okay, let's go to our elite women's race lead because Myra Madeira can see the finishing gantry of stage 1 here on the GCC Summer Championships. It is in the distance. That is the gantry. That is the finishing line that is going to come up. What a ride by her. She's going to be the first of our elite riders to come across the line. Myra Madeira is going to lead our riders home here. Stage number 1 complete. Time in the bag. It is going to be a great start for Myra Madeira here on the GCC Summer Championship, Stage 1. She is their first elite rider home.
Look at that. resplendent in the yellow skin suit, happy to be over the line, arms in the air. Congratulations.
Arms in the air, what a punch of victory, and I'm not surprised. Then collapses on the handlebars because she's absolutely wiped out.
Well,
time to recover now, and that's the key thing here for our riders, isn't it, Emma? Get that recovery. She's going to have to spin that lactic acid out of her legs. Now, coming up, Al Mansouri.
Yeah, she is indeed. So Al Mansouri is indeed coming up. She can see that finish line ahead of her. The chase is on behind, I tell you, between Liz Smithson and Roname Joy Mayer for third place. But Al Mansouri looks comfortable in second behind Madeira. She's going to continue to progress to that finish line today. And it looks like she is going to take second place in the elite women's category. So this is category 4, the elite women. They were first out of the start pen in all of our elite categories. And Al Mansouri, she's going to take second place today on stage 1.
It's a great riding. The two teammates, Al Mansouri and Madeira, taking away spots at the top of the standings. However, behind, it's going to be very close. Roname Joy Mayer, their teammate at the moment, being bested by Liz Smithson on that run into the line. Don't forget, of course, all those results on MyWhoosh.com and click on the results. Now, we have our men's elite competition on the top of your screen, so top right-hand side and top left-hand side. And the bottom of your screen, you can see our two women's competitions in the elite competitions. We've got Liz Smithson at the moment, just in front of Roname Joy Mayer in the green skin suit of the sprint leader, making her way in towards the finish. Roname Joy Mayer is the teammate of the riders in front, but Smithson is wanting to get her team onto the podium. The Aussie Balatai squad are going to be led in by Smithson, and Sarasuk behind. Her teammate has got the polka dot skin suit, so it's looking like this battle in the elite women's competition between the Aussie Balatai and the Velocity Vixens is going to be an absolute cracker.
Well, it is indeed. And Sarasuk here now pushing on for the finish. She's going to look in, well, she's going to look to take 5th position today in that competition. But you can see a little bit further back down the road, we've still got Kienberger with Hadlock. They're 30 seconds up on Kokkonen. They've got Jenny Tan for company, who's been going for these sprints in the category 4 race. In the category 3 race, well, take a look at that. I told you Jenny Tan was going for the sprints in the category 4 race. In the category 3 race, Kienberger indeed has the green skin suit. Hadlock has the polka dot skin suit, and the two of them are racing for the overall win.
And Tan is having to work hard here. She's not got any company around her going through that sprint, really, in terms of being able to go for that. And I think that's going to make life a bit harder. We're going to see how Jenny Tan goes with this. At the moment, Jenny is making her way in towards the finish line in that elite. She can jump on board, though. She can hear from the riders just coming past. You've got Kienberg and you've got Hadlock coming through. Sitting in those wheels will be of benefit, but you've got to push. And you can see that Jenny working really hard here, making sure that she stays with the group. She's on those wheels, and that is really key. Look at the concentration there, making sure she gets the most draft going through. Okay, back across to the men's race at the moment, and the catch has been made here. Mohamed Al-Kais, our long-time leader, has been pulled back. He's been pulled back by Q10, and what happens now is going to be very interesting, because I'm sure I just saw Q10 go to about 0.4 watts per kilo as he goes,
to sit on the wheel.
I've pulled you back. I'm sitting on your wheels now, sunshine.
Exactly. And that's exactly what he did. And looking at Al Hamadi, now 24 seconds back with Al Qatar as well with him. So those two riders in 3rd and 4th still together, and they've still got each other for company. But Q10 now joins Al Case as they push on at the front of category 1, the Premier Elite Men's Race.
So you just see Al-Kais here. He's got that polka dot skin suit at the moment. He's going to want to hold that to the line. He was looking like he was going to take away top spot in the race overall, but now all of a sudden that has changed. We're at 30.8k. Remember, our finish line today is at 38.5. 4 kilometres. Okay, so at the moment, in Bahrain, just taking a look down. He's got help beside him. And he's just having a little bit of a chat there. He's out of the saddle here. And look at this big push by Q10. Nearly 9 watts per kilo. What can Alcase do about this? He's out of the saddle in real life on that bike. He's out of the saddle in his avatar as well. They're both stamping down on the pedals. He's going to need to keep a Q10 under control. He pulls him back, but is this going to be about who's the most tired, the attacker or the chaser who caught back that attacker? Another go. This time Q10 kicks again, another 8 watts per kilo. That battle is going to rage all the way up over the top of the bridge as we see our next run for the line. Keinberger in here in the green, Hadlock in the polka dot. Surely they're going to sprint for this. Are they going to try and take some time here? They're not on the same team. They need to push here. Who's going to jump first? Who's going to jump for the line? That's the finish line. Have they got anything left? Keinberger kicks 10 watts per kilo coming out. That sprint kick comes in. She engages the afterburners. Hadlock goes after her to lose as little time as possible. With the victory, it goes to Keinberger. She takes the overall win there, just ahead of Hadlock.
Well, she does indeed. And that is the Women's Premier Elite category, Category 3. A 2-up sprint for the line. Well, just further back down the road, the 2 riders are still together. They didn't split on the climb in that Premier Category 1 of the men's race, but they're still pushing on. And Alcase is pushing on, going past the amateur men's race. On the right-hand side of your screen, SS, Aura-Methri and Erasmus, all 3 riders in that Category 2 elite men's race still together.
So left-hand side of your screen, I'm here jumping up and down off the acoustic treatment here in the studio as Q10 and Alcase knock chunks out of each other. It's like they're in the ring trying to punch it out at the moment.
They are powering it out on the pedals.
Absolutely fantastic racing. Now, let's jump in with our elite here. Aura-Methri is on a bit of a move here. He's got 2 seconds in. He's at 36.6k, 2.2k to the finish at the moment. So still decent distance to go. SS is keeping an eye here at the moment. This is going to be a very interesting run for the line. Don't forget, of course, these riders are riding for the team competition as well. So they've got to look at how they ride, where they ride, how hard do they go. SS is one of those riders who we know will want this. He's fiercely competitive. Erasmus, I think, has done an amazing ride here as well. Ronald Erasmus from South Africa, living in the UAE, right in the mix. We saw him early on. He was in that battle. He's not far off the pace at all, and I think he could be right in there as well.
Well, you are quite correct, I think, Matt. And they are surrounded by a number of the amateur riders in light blue as well. And great to see them part and parcel of the mix and working hard as well. But it is going to be a battle, I think.
Yeah, I think it really shows how much it means to these riders. You put a competitive rider, in a race, you know they're going to race hard because they just can't help themselves. You put them in a race with great prize money, with great stages, with amazing competition, with lots of other people around them, with great tactical thinking to be done, with a real thought process as well as riding skills to show off, and they are going to do that, and that is what we are seeing at the moment. Now, you can just see by Deroles that the power is going down. He's currently at 7.5 watts because you've got Mohammed with him as well. You can see they're kicking on, but behind, SS is looking to come across and use this to break clear of Aura-Methri. Hassan Aura-Methri looking like he wants to be in the mix. Not sure he's going to stay in that mix.
Well, the question is, who's got the sprint now amongst these 3 men in Category 2, the elite category here, because that's the finish line at the end of this straight. They are in a line, and Aura-Methri's pushing on. Erasmus is there, but so is SS, and it's SS, I think, who's gone for it. He has indeed. He's currently gone. He's got 300 meters to go. Erasmus is coming. He's coming fast from behind. Where's Aura-Methri? Aura-Methri looks like he might be out of it, but no, I don't think he is. He's pushing on those pedals again. SS and Erasmus side by side. Here comes Aramethery. Aramethery goes onto the wheel. Is he going to go up and over? No, he's not. Ronald Erasmus looks like he might take this. Yes, he does. So the win goes to Erasmus. SS into Aramethery in 3. That was a battle royale to the finish.
That was a frantic finish. That run to the line for you can see every single centimetre, every pedal stroke counting. Now let's jump back to our remaining battle. We're at 34.8k in terms of the leaders in the Premier categories. In the elite categories, it is this battle now at the front of the race between Alcase and Q10. Both riders at the moment working their way in around riders. Albeidel looks like he's going to be just getting caught. We've just got a few riders. Carl Simmons in the mix here. Albushi just up the road, about 30 seconds plus up. So is Shamieva, also about 30 seconds ahead. So there's lots of riders for these riders in the Premier Elite men's competition to use, partly to disguise their actions, partly to give them that drafting on the way through, partly to give them that slingshot. At the moment, there's nobody in sight. Both of them, easy enough. Look at that. Alcase down at 2 watts per kilo.
Yeah.
Q10 does the same here. They're both saving some energy for the run to the line. Who's your money on? Here we go. I love us. Okay. Didn't ask you to bet.
You asked me who my money was on. I don't put money on anybody. But these two riders are absolutely going for it here. And this is a really early run. I'm looking at this going, what is he doing?
This is a big kick. Another kick by Q10. We saw them do this over the bridge. It is a flat run to the finish. There are no hills to help here. Massive kick by Q10. Big response here by Alcase. Alcase out there. Sadly, he's pounding on the pedals. I'm glad I'm not his bottom bracket in that bike at the moment. He's stomping down on them. You can see he's getting all the encouragement to keep on kicking here. You've got the rider here pushing on at the moment. He's trying to make this count. He can't go past him at the moment. He doesn't choose to go past him. Emma, we're coming in.
You wouldn't choose to go past him. You want to be P2. You want to be on that wheel. You do not want to be leading out the sprint into the finish line. We're talking about leading out the sprint. Q10 comes back up onto the wheel. This is the last sprint segment of the race, but I don't think they're going to be contesting it, whereas behind, well, Motorway seems to be pushing.
Great riding by Motorway. He's come back. That group there with Al Hamadi and Al Hector, they basically the remnants of that leading group up there who were right in the mix. And now all of a sudden they realise they are now battling for a top 5 position. They could be right up there in the mix. They don't want to lose time. They don't want to ease off too much. They don't want to back off. And this is the quandary our riders find themselves in. You want the sprint points. You want to take that away. You also want to be the first over the line to get those positions in the stage, but you also want to take away the fastest time from the day because you don't want to lose any time. Once you've lost time, you've got to get it back. Yeah. And that is so difficult to do.
And that's it, isn't it? Because our riders aren't just racing for today. They are racing over 5 days and 5 stages. And they are thinking about that at the same time. Well, Q10 at the moment pushing down at 8 watts per kilo, 1.4 kilometres to the finish line. These two are battling it out and they are not saving it to the final sprint.
They're not, and Alcase has answered that move there by Q10. He caught him, and he's gone over the top here. Alcase absolutely nailing it. I have just seen him go at 13 watts per kilo, but he dropped back down to 3 or 4. This is going to be brutal. Now, Mohamed Alcase is going to come around this long, sweeping left-hand 10. He is into that last kilometre. This is the run for the line. Q10 sitting at about 8 watts per kilo. He's pulling him back again. But has he got enough in there to go past Alcase? They have just been attacking and counter-attacking for so many kilometres now. Anybody's legs can fall off. Quite literally, the wheels could come off that wagon. Who's back? Guess who's back in town? Q10's back with Alcase. They're back together, and it's time for another kick. I'm not sure whether they're not tossing a coin to decide who's going to put the next dig in. Now, the line comes very quickly around this left-hand turn. This is the run for the line, and Alcase kicks first. He's on his way. This is the move. He's gone. He's been answered, though, by Q10. Q10, 14 watts per kilo.
Oh, my
Can
goodness.
he get him back?
It is a battle of the two giants today as they come in for this finish in Category 1. Look at the effort from Alcase, but Q10 is coming. Q10 goes up and over the top. Can Alcase respond? He's got 200 meters. Can Q10 take this? Can Alcase catch? It's going to be Q10 who takes the win after battling Mohamed Alcase the whole way.
What a race. What a finish. You two deserve the coldest ice bath in the world for your legs after that. What an effort to come in and through there. Now, the race is on behind. We'll unpick that a little bit very shortly because we've got our next rider on his way into the line. Motorway has broken clear of Al Hector as well as Al Hamadi. And at the moment, he's going to come through clearly in third place. He's got time on Al Hector. He's got time on Al Hamadi. But this is stage 1 of 5. And we have got plenty more kilometers to go to decide who is going to take away the win in the Summer Championship overall. Wow. Okay, so at the end of the race, your top 5 in our Premier Men's Elite race. Q10 leading them home ahead of Al Case, then Motorway, followed by Al Hector, then Al Hamadi. They are your top 5 in our Premier Men's competition. In our Standard Elite competition, Erasmus, I think, took the top spot there, Emma?
Indeed. So Al Case there coming through and looking at that. So I was just taking a little look at Al Case, a phenomenal triathlete historically. So great to see him on MyWhoosh and fighting it out with Q10 right at the top.
So here we are, split by category. Q10 taking the win there. 53 minutes and 7 seconds total time for today. The top 5 on your screens here. As you can see, these riders riding very, very strongly indeed. Brilliant to see. Now, we've got more of our riders in our Standard Elite Men's competition. Erasmus in 1, SS in 2, Arametri in 3, Amur in 4, Kadabona in 5. You can see Al Hassani, Thayab, Kanup, and Al Zabi coming in behind. You can catch up with all those results on the MyWhoosh.com website. That's our men's elite competition overalls at the moment after stage 1 as well, in theory, because, of course, this is the moment when it's dead simple and even I can do the maths. It will change as we go forwards, and Emma will come into her statistical own. Emma, just run us through the women's competition here.
Category 3, the Premier Elite Women's category. We saw Keinberger sprint with Hadlock for the win. 1.1 seconds between the two. Kekkonen came in for 3. Elos for 4. De Grazia for 5. In Category 4, the Elite Women's Myra Madeira took that win ahead of Al Mansouri. Smithson took 3rd place from Joy Mayer. Sarasuk in 5th. Jenny Tan in 6th. And Tanglian in 7th.
Fantastic to see the differences in the competition. I was just having a little look in the Premier Elite Women's team competition. Sparkle Squad and the Saddle Queens have been fighting out. We saw that tight battle going in and through as they came through in the Hadlock versus Keinberger, and the gap between them was about 55 seconds in that team competition. So there's not a lot in that at the moment. Now you can see the fastest finishers in the amateur races coming in and through as well. All of the riders will be listed on the website. Lots of people still out on course. If you're part of our riders riding to complete the 5 stages, please keep on going. We want to see you again for tomorrow's racing. Now, stage 1 is complete. All the results will be up there. We are going to be studying those like crazy tomorrow. Quick heads up, quick preview, Emma.
30-kilometer time trial. Solo
effort, no drafting.
Time trial bike.
Contre Le Mans, also known as the Race of Truth. Who will be found out wanting? We are going to find out very shortly indeed. In fact, in about 23 hours or so. A pleasure putting words to the action here. My name is Matt Payne. Please do give me a follow. It's at Matt Fixer Payne. Emma, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me at Biking Emma on Instagram.
Don't forget, of course, you can jump onto social media and follow MyWhoosh. It is at MyWhoosh on Instagram, on Facebook. And of course, whilst you're online, don't forget to go to the GCC website. That's www.gcc-sg.org to see all about the Golf Cooperation Council. A massive thank you to them for the Summer Championships with a stage one that has not disappointed and set us up for some amazing racing in the next 4 stages over the next 4 days. Please do join us. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and be notified when we're ready to go for stage number 2. But from myself, from Emma, from the amazing team at MyWhoosh who put all of this together behind the scenes, stay safe. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Goodbye.